Ciao, my name is Giorgia and in this video I will show you how I've made this jacket, so if you want to learn how to do this, just please keep on watching.
This jacket became very famous after Harry Styles wore it. She is the designer Emily Bode. I love everything she does, including this amazing jacket. Harry has worn several pieces of bode over the years, but Justin Bieber, Bella Hadid and Jay-Z also wear bode. These are the rules that I follow to make a basic men's shirt, and here you can see the grain line of each piece. You can see that I'm trying on the basic men's shirt to decide how long I want the sleeves and the rest of the jacket. Let's see how I changed the pattern to be like Harry's jacket. First of all, I made the collar leaf 1 cm shorter to make it more pointed, as you can see here. Don't forget the notch and the grain line. Then I changed the base of the collar, making it more squared. I'm starting from an old bed sheet. It's a stiff but light cotton. I need 2 pieces of the leaf color and 2 pieces for the base color. Don't forget to mark the notch. As you can see here, it's very important that the 2 pieces have the same length. Since my fabric is way too light to make this jacket, I'm fusing it with interfacing. I've placed the leaf collar right side together with matching notch, and I sewed along this line. To make the color points more precise, I suggest to stop leaving the needle in the fabric, twist the collar, then start sewing again, and to cut the seam allowance once you've finished. Place the base of the collar right side together with the leaf collar, then pin it and sew along that line. Like you can see here, you have to fold 1 cm, then sew that shorter side of the collar, making sure to not sew the leaf collar. Then we'll press 1 cm along all the base of the collar. I'm pinning the back of the jacket on the fold, modifying the side, making it straighter. To get the sleeve of the right length, I mark a line 10 cm from the hem, then I fold the pattern and do the same thing with the front of the jacket, which must be 58 cm. To get a result similar to the back, I made the side of the front straighter and added a centimeter. Here I'm showing how the yoke is usually attached, but for this jacket we will attach it in this alternative way. Let's leave the back aside for the moment and move on to the front. Following the notches, we fold the center front as I show here, then we iron it. Then pin it in place. Here I'm pinning the cuff right side together, then we sew them and turn them over. Then we will iron them flat. To close the sleeves, I measure 10 cm starting from the hem and I make a mark. Then I pin and sew along that side, leaving the last 10 cm open. Here I'm showing a basting stitch for the gathering of the sleeves and iron as I show. I pull the threads of the basting stitch, creating the gathering. I position the cuff right side together with the sleeve and pin, adapting the gathering to match the cuff. If necessary, once we had sewn the cuff to the sleeve, we can remove the seam made for the gathering. When we cut the lining for the sleeves, make sure to add 1 cm to the hem. As with the fabric sleeves, we close it right side together and sew, this time leaving 11 cm. Let's position the lining inside the fabric sleeve with matching seams. Once we have found the right way to attach the lining to the cuff, flip the lining and pin it in place, leaving 1 cm in excess for each side of the cuffs. To make it easier to sew the cuff, I have removed this part of the sewing machine. This part of the cuff will require hand sewing. As it's difficult to explain in the steps in words, I try to make it clear in the video. As shown in the video, I am hiding the thread between the lining and the fabric. To get the same cuffs as Harry's jacket, I make a ½ centimeter seam around the entire perimeter of the cuffs. For the lining of the front, place the fabric front as shown in the video, then cut it following the shape of the front. The next step is to attack the shoulders, so place the back and the front right side together as shown in the video. Then iron the seam towards the front. For the back lining, I leave an additional 1 cm towards the yoke. Then, as shown in the video, I turn it over and sew it to the seam allowance of the yoke. For the lining of the front, I left the selvage and sew the lining to the fold of the front, as shown in the video. By doing so, the seam will not be visible on the right side. The next step is to sew the lining of the front to the shoulder seam allowance. Then we will sew the fabric sides of the front with the back right side together, and also the sides of the lining right side together, front and back. As you can see, this part is very intuitive. I position the sleeve in the armhole by matching the seams and the notches. Then I sew the armhole from the wrong side. Then iron the seam allowance towards the body of the jacket. I don't have a serger, so I use the zigzag stitching to lock the armhole. The next step is to make the seams that will be visible from the outside, the two parallel seams on the armholes. For the collar, the notches must match the shoulder seam. After you finished sewing at 1 cm, iron the edges towards the collar and pin the side of the folded collar together. This step is a bit tricky, so I sew it by hand. As you can see in this photo, the entire collar and center front has a seam about half centimeter apart, made with a matching thread. So this is what I'm doing in this clip. Trying it on, I realized it was too long, so I shortened it about 4 centimeters. After that, I measured the hem of the jacket. For this part of the jacket, we will need a rectangle of fabric 11 centimeters high and as long as the hem of the jacket plus 15 centimeters. I iron it by folding it in half. I've used only half to not make it too heavy. Using the same technique of the collar, ironing 1 centimeter inside, as seen in the video. I only sew one of the two short sides right side together because the other will have this shape. Then I pin it to the jacket, leaving the excess of the 15 centimeters we added. I iron the seams towards the hem, making it flat. Here I show you how to recreate this shape of strap. The next step is to make the half centimeter seam as we did on the cuffs and the collar. I started from the side and not from the center, so that the beginning of the seam will be less visible. We are almost done because now only the embroidery and the patchwork remain. For this part you will need a red and a white thread. It is important that the needle used for the embroideries on the edges is pointed, but with a hole large enough for the thread to pass easily. I used the seam we made around the perimeter of the jacket as a guide. Once again, I decided to start from the side so that the beginning is less noticeable. I finished this part of the jacket by hand so that it's more secure and more clean. I tried to hide the knots and the end of the thread. For the patchwork, I've placed the jacket flat, so that it was easier to see where the design would be. On paper, I sketched the design, then traced the pieces one at a time, writing the color in which they had to be cut. I followed the same process for the right side of the jacket and the back. Then I cut out the paper shapes. I traced them on a light fusible fabric. I placed the shape on the final fabric, fusing it with the iron, and then I cut out the fabric. Doing so, the fabric will fray less. I followed this step for each shape of the patchwork. Since I didn't have the felt, I used the normal fabric. In case you have a felt, there is no need to do the step with the fused fabric. Here I show you some photos I found of a close-up of the fabric used in the original jacket. What looks like a dark green thread was used to attach the patchwork pieces to the jacket. I used an extra strong black thread, the one slightly thicker than the normal one. Then, sewing by hand, I copied the patchwork from the photos, one piece at a time. This was a long but easy process.